So about 3 months ago, I made a Fire Emblem game tier list, and when I got to Heroes, I said I'd be making more of a focused video regarding it because it's a completely different beast when you compare it to the mainline entries in the series. This is that video, should you play Fire Emblem Heroes in 2025? Rather than formatting it as just simply my opinion on Faye, I decided to make it this way because I looked around and I saw there wasn't really any reviews or discussions about Fire Emblem Heroes that kind of spoke to that new and returning audience. Basically, we're going to be reviewing and discussing Fire Emblem Heroes today and coming to the conclusion of if you should be playing this game or not from my experience. Speaking about my experience, who am I? I am Scarecrow. I've played Fire Emblem for the last 3 years. I've been a part of this community for these last 3 years. I've played pretty much all the games in the franchise. And with Heroes, I started back in 2023, around book 7. I've played this game every single day. I've logged in every single day. I've rarely skipped days of Faye, unless like something has happened in my life, right? So I'm giving you a pretty fresh perspective of how the game is and how to approach it. Also, I'm just going to be making a bunch of Fire Emblem Heroes content on here, as well as just general Fire Emblem content. So Let's Plays, tier lists, and any news regarding if the next game's a remake or not. Genealogy remake, we're praying for it. But yeah, if you're interested in all of that, please feel free to like the video, subscribe, or if you just like to hear my voice and you're like, hey, I just want to listen to this dude yap all day, thank you. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be sure to post more as well. So to start this video, let me give you my opinion on Faye. I think Fire Emblem Heroes is a wonderful game to play in terms of fan service. So, for example, I love Patty from Genealogy of the Holy War. As you can see, I mean, look at her art, I think she's cute, right? She's got the beautiful high-res art. You get to kit her out with all these cool weapons and skills and stuff like that. Like, I like Patty, right? Patty's one of my favorite characters in the series. I love her. And being able to pair her up with someone like Recruit from Echoes, another favorite of mine. I might be deranged if I like this character. Let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm pretty sure I am. But, being able to pair her up with Bakut with all this nice art of him, and with Duo Nagi here, and Veda from Blazing Blade, like, the concept of being able to summon for different heroes from different games, and to be able to pair them up in armies, and take on all the content in this game is rad. Like, let's be real. It's rad. It's cool. Like, it's very cool to do that. Outside of that, that's really where it ends with the good of Fire Emblem Heroes. This game has gone through a lot of changes over the years, and I think one of the best places to start is with pretty much the new returning player experience in this game. I believe Faye's new and returning player experience to be one of the worst, like, new returning player experiences I've ever had in any video game. Getting into this game 2 years ago was a nightmare. I wanted to quit, but because of my love for Fire Emblem, I literally just willpowered through it. The biggest problem new players will encounter with this game is the lack of resources. Sure, with orbs, just play story maps, you'll be fine. Like, all these things you can do in story maps, even the tactics drills with the skill studies and Grandmaster, whatever, just look up videos. Shout out PM1 real quick, hope you're feeling better. But other than just orbs, and the free units you get, I mean, Hero's Path, it's a tutorial. If you're a brand new player or returning player and you haven't done this, you do get a bunch of resources from here, but I'm going to be honest, it's very dated, and Hero's Path doesn't really guide you as well as you would think it does. But other than getting the free units from Hero's Path and the free units you get from, like, I think the 3rd or 2nd chapter of a new book, that's it. That's all the freebies you really get, because Sacred Coin and Refined Stones, these are very important when it comes to making your units actually do more. Like, especially if you're doing competitive modes, or you're going against newer units, or hell, even if you're going into special maps, these are challenging maps that you need good units, and you also need to outfit those units with some of the best, like, skills available to them, right? And Sacred Coin gives you the ability to basically, like, put some pretty powerful skills and stats on units that could really, like, use them. And when you're a new player, returning player, these are gatekept by events and competitive game modes like Summoner Duels. Same with Refined Stones. Like, refines are very important, but you don't need a refine for every single person all the time, because some refines are very dated and old and you just don't need them. The point is, you're being gatekept from resources. And not only are you being gatekept from resources, but you're also not getting enough resources in game to teach you how to play some of these competitive modes. Faye, I think, does a very poor job of informing you, the player. And then when you're a new or returning player, it is an absolute nightmare. You're left to fend for yourself when it comes to entering this game and learning. All you have when you come to this game as a new or returning player is a crap ton of orbs and a lot of bad decisions. You also don't know what's meta when you're a new and returning player. This game doesn't give you any direction of like how you should play the game. Like I play the game as collector, but that took me like a whole year of kind of soul searching in this game of like, what do I want to do? How do I want to play this game? If you did just play this game nonstop and not know what to do, I feel like you would just kind of throw yourself in Aether Raids and Summoner Duels. Sure, you'd get some rewards, but you wouldn't be getting the most of those rewards. Like Aether Raids, like you get heroic grails. This is how you get free to play units. This is how you build projects, right? This is how you're able to build up, say, Zane. Like, say you love Zane. Like, if you want to build him, you have to play Aether Raids or log in every day. And sometimes you're not going to be able to. It's not a fun experience in terms of being a new player or returning player. I'm not a fan of how Faye does it. It's just very punishing. It's also not fun in the sense of how much of a disadvantage you're at when you play Faye compared to other people. If you're playing against somebody who started this game in no later than 2019, they will have a myriad of heroic feathers. They will have a myriad of sacred coin, refined stones, every resource you can imagine. Like, let me go into my inventory. Like, for example, like all these stamina potions, like stamina potions are a big meme right now, but that's because everyone has thousands of stamina potions. If you're a new player, you don't have any stamina potions. You get like maybe 5 or 10. I'm pretty sure you don't get that much. And the rest of these resources are all from just playing the game. And if you don't play this game like every single day, I've played this game for 2 years. I still don't have all the sacred seals. If I talk to anyone who's played this game for day 1 or day 2, they're like, oh, you don't have all your sacred seals unlocked? I'm like, yeah, I played in 2023. They're gonna look at me like, oh, that's insane, because it is. To wrap up, this experience is one of the biggest problems I have with Faye and why it's so hard to get other people to play this game. Because the time and effort and investment, I mean, I haven't even talked about Powercreep yet. We'll get into it when we get to it, but that's a can of worms that is honestly what really makes this game even more rough than just the lack of information. Again, all you get is orbs and a bunch of bad decisions when you first play this game because you have no direction. You don't know what you're doing in this game unless you read guides from Reddit or watch YouTube guides. And even then, I don't even think there's a whole lot of guides for Faye on YouTube. So it's a rough experience, to say the least. But anyway, let's move on to game modes. I'll try and be quick because it is very easy to go and talk about each of these game modes for more than like 5 hours. So I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead and get into it. So first, let's start with story maps. I know we kind of touched upon it for a bit, but the story of Faye, I think it's pretty solid. It's not anything crazy. I think everything after book 3, it gets pretty nice. I wasn't a fan of the fairy book personally. Like, I just didn't really enjoy it too much. I do like the characters of it. I think that was book 4. It's still a pretty good book, but outside of like books 1 and 2, book 3 and beyond, I think it's good. Everything after book 3, starting at book 3 better yet, is good. The paralogs, I don't really care for. These are just banner promotions. Now, I mean, occasionally there'll be characters I care about, but like these are just banner promotions and free orbs. Talked about tactics drills. Heroic ordeals is easy, but my problem is the resource you get, dragon feathers, or dragon flowers, whatever they're called, the dragon flowers. I'm not a fan of how they're kind of gatekeeping dragon flowers, because this is what you use to upgrade older units to be better and more competent. But I can talk about this forever. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time. And multi-map battles, all of this is fine except for Blessed Gardens. Stop being cowards, intelligence systems, and bring back Blessed Gardens. This was a mode that they were like, oh, we cooked with this one, and then they just threw it away. Bring back Blessed Gardens. They're cowards, dude. But yeah, story maps, can't argue. It's free orbs. Story's fine. Bring back Blessed Gardens. Like, what are we doing, guys? Bring back Blessed Gardens. Special maps, I'm under the belief that special maps, I think these need to be more difficult personally, because when you first play this game, it is going to take your lunch money the first couple of months you're playing these. These need to be harder, in my personal opinion, because when you get to a point like I am, like after playing for 2 years, you accumulate enough characters to the point where like you can basically do any of these maps blindfolded because you just have such OP units. We need something more challenging. We had a challenging map with Nidhogger, and that map was actually tough, but I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I was mad, but I was like, wait, I have to actually think. But I like special maps. I can't really argue. It's fun getting a bunch of characters from older games and, you know, being able to add them, like Oliver, right? The pinnacle of beauty. Can't hate on those. Special maps, I can't argue with special maps really at all. Just make them harder. Training Tower. Training Tower, I mean, I'm okay with where training tower's at. It's what it sounds like. You just train units, level them up. Nothing more else than that. But now we get to kind of the, like, where my beef lies. The variations of Arena, I'm not mad at these, but Arena, my problem with Arena is this. I am not a fan of the scoring system of Arena. I think the scoring system of Arena is very complicated, but I really have had beef with the Arena scoring system for a long time. Because I much rather it just be based off like just merges at this point. I don't like Marnie, but the only reason I use her is because everyone in the game has to use Marnie basically. Like you have to, otherwise you're at a massive disadvantage both in scoring and in Arena efficiency. The maps in Arena are really bad. Whoever makes the maps of Arena, I'm sorry, but you are not cooking. I'm sorry. And the tactical retreats, 3 tactical retreats, I think we should have unlimited tactical retreats because Arena is, especially with Engage Rings right now, which I'll get to later, it's a massive problem. So Arena, not a fan of the scoring system and even the bonus heroes personally. I'm not a fan of that at all. I just don't like Arena scoring at all. Summoner duels, I used to play this a good chunk, but I am not a fan of Summoner Duels. To really understand the meat and potatoes of this game mode, you really need to just play this game mode a ton. And also, it's a whale's playground. If you're not a whale, then you do this because you do it for the love of the game, right? A lot of big-name YouTubers in the Fae community, they play Summoner Duels. Shouts out to them for the guides and stuff they make, but with all due respect, I just do not want to play this mode. I mean, the rewards you get from this mode are nice, but learning it is an absolute headache. It's a lot of trial and error, and if you're a new and returning player, you're gonna get dog walked. There's like no elo-based matchmaking in Summoner Duels other than like the competitive versions, and even then I think there's no matchmaking there, so not a fan of Summoner Duels. I'm just also not a fan of just PvP and Fire Emblem as a whole. Then I'd say the final mode that really gets under my skin is Arena Assault. This used to be really fun. This was how you like manage to stress test your roster against modern units, like all the power creep and all that. Like this was your chance to see how well your units stacked up against like flavor of the month threats and things of that nature. It used to be really fun. Now it's not. Highly recommend you don't play it if you're a new and returning player. You need to have a lot of decent units to like compete in this mode. Aether Raids, this is the only mode I can stomach. It's fun to make maps, and like I'm a defense nut. I love defense. Offense is kind of just baby easy. It's not hard. If you're a new player, I can understand it being hard. If you're a veteran, I have to disagree if you're telling me AR offense is hard. Aether Raids, I like Aether Raids. I can stomach this every like week. I can deal with Aether Raids. I like it. Events, I think events have gotten better to a degree. Pawns of Loki, I have massive beef with this game mode. Tap Battle, my favorite modes like Hero's Journey. It's fun to have a unit that you can just chill out and hang with. Like right now it's Leaf. Shouts out Leaf. I love you, my glorious king, my little lord. I love Hero's Journey. Forging Bonds is cool. Extra supports. Hall of Forms is nice. It's nice to build up older units and make them more competitive to today's standards. But then you have other game modes like Pawns of Loki. Just, I don't want to talk about this mode. I'm about to crash out on it. And then Mjolnir Strike. Goofy game mode, bro. And like Seer Snare is goated. Affinity Auto Battles, what were you guys cooking? And then United Warfront and Your Time to Shine, they're actually pretty fun. But all in all, events, my complete summary of every game mode that I can use to also summarize my thoughts on events. I just want to be able to use the characters that I pour a lot of heart and time into. You know, I love Fire Emblem. I love the series. I love the characters. Yes, the meta characters, I get it. Like the Black Knight, he is 1-to-1 to how he is in the Tellius games. I'm not a fan of how these game modes, just outside of maybe special maps and of course PvE modes, that I can't use these units as much as I want. Events, like yes, you can use your units, but there's some events like Voting Gauntlet and Pawns of Loki where if you use your favorite units, you're just getting clapped. And being clapped, as we all know, is not fun. And last but not least, before we get to our, well, to my conclusion of if you should be playing this game, let's talk about Fire Emblem Heroes' content. Fae's content, I think, is a massive problem. Now, when I say Fae's content, I'm talking about the content when compared to the likes of a Genshin, a Wuthering Waves, even that like the Flavor of the Month Horse Girl Derby game, whatever it's called. When we compare Fae's content drops to those, I heard something from someone online, I forgot when, but they made a good point, and they said that like when you compare Fae to other games, they're getting all sorts of new events, new story chapters. They're mainly giving you more content to do with your established characters and teams that you've spent so much time building and working on to be, you know, as strong and powerful as they are, to, you know, wreck face, right? In Fae, we get banners. We get banners, and occasionally we'll get new story chapters. We'll get new hero battles in the special maps. We get more stuff for the shop, because, you know, it's a gacha, they gotta make money. We get that. And of course we get, you know, season resets for Arena and Aether Raids and et cetera, but like, that's our content. That's it. You get new banners, new events. Well, not even new events. You just get new battles for the most part, or repeating battles and repeating events. That's all you get in terms of content in this game. I don't think it stacks well against other gacha games. It is very laughable and disappointing in that regard. Also, how can I forget, we need to talk about power creep. I will say, while the power creep hasn't so much wasn't as fast as it used to be. Like, I remember during the multiple action burn damage meta, which is basically what it sounds like. Summer Golvek here, she was one of the highlights of that meta. She basically, whenever her special would go off, she could get another action. Thankfully, her movement got nerfed when she would do another action. So she could only move, I think, one space. She had 3 actions in one turn. And not only that, but she also did burn damage, which burn damage was basically, I take 10 HP away from you just because I exist. She was a big part of the meta. And then also we had to bring up Brave Felix, because for a long time, I think for a solid 6-7 months, it was just nothing but Brave Felix in every competitive game mode. I mean, this guy got to move 2-3 actions. The only difference was, unlike Golveg, he actually got additional movement. He got to move an extra space at the start of turn. It was ridiculous at the time. I will say right now, the meta has kind of been pretty static. Currently, we're in a meta where it's all about bulk and pretty much the Black Knight. As you see here, he's been an absolute terror to everyone in this meta. I think one of the biggest problems about power creep, though, honestly, is when it comes to building your units. Well, let's use Glenn over here as an example. So Glenn right now has attack, defense, catch, guard bearing 4, and attack, defense, oath 4, right? The problem with power creep is the fact that some of these skills are still not available in the main summoning pool. So attack, defense, oath, you rarely ever see the skill, because no one really uses attack, defense, oath, because we're in a different meta. We're in a completely different meta, and also there's a bunch of things that can stop you from basically warping anywhere in this game, like moving to any space, right? So that's the big reason you don't see the skill. But number 2 is because where are you going to find this skill? I think there's only like 2 units in this entire game or something like that who have attack, defense, oath 4. Like, this skill is hard to get. Guard bearing is somewhat hard to get. And attack, defense, catch is like, it's not hard to get either. But the point is, there's too many skills. Like, for example, Emblem Erica here, Blue Skies, I think she and like 2 other units, I think her and this duo Marth you see right here, I think her and him are the only 2 units. These are the only 2 units that have Blue Skies. And we don't have any other way to get Blue Skies other than getting rid of Marth or Erica. And these are 2 very powerful units that are only available in a select few of banners every year. Like, Marth is a duo unit. He'll show up in a few like special hero summoning events or whatever, but for the most part, you're not going to see him like every month or 2. You're going to see him probably every 3 months or so. Erica's an emblem hero, so you'll see her occasionally through a rotation that they'll do for adding legendary, mythic, and emblem heroes. The point is, it's going to take you a long time to build, you know, a favorite unit, like a project unit, or one of your favorite characters in the entire series, if you want to outfit them with the best skills that orbs can buy. It also forces you to summon on banners that you might not want to summon on. So it just goes into this full like circle thing of how they're making money and how you're basically having to spend money that you don't want to spend because you just want to make your unit be the best unit they can be. I can go on forever about power creep, but for time's sake, let's end it there and let's go to our conclusion. That's my thoughts on Fire Emblem Heroes. I still love this game. I will still keep playing it. You know, it's sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, I've invested a lot of time. I have invested money in it. Also, by the way, do not invest money in this game. I'm a dolphin, okay? I don't spend like crazy in this game. I don't advise at all people to play Fire Emblem Heroes, unless, I will say this, unless you really love this franchise, unless you've been playing this franchise for longer than me, and you want to see, you know, Fabale, right? Fabale here from Genealogy of the Holy War. You want to see him with new voice lines and all this cool art. Sure. But I can also raise you, you could just go on Google, type in Fabale Fire Emblem Heroes, find his art on there, type up his voice lines on YouTube, and voila, you have Fabale, just minus grinding a copious amount of orbs you can get from story maps, as well as the time investment of learning the terminology, understanding the meta, understanding what makes a good unit, and what makes a bad unit, which you'll realize is basically everything that's not meta. It hurts to say this because I love Fire Emblem, and I wish Fire Emblem Heroes was at that same level as the mainstream games, but Faye is a gacha at the end of the day, and the longer this game goes on, you see a lot of the systems in this game, like one system I forgot to bring up before we wrap up. Engage rings, right? Like these, if you don't summon for any of these units, because engage rings basically make your unit, like they take your unit from 0 to 100 like that. Like you have to have engage rings. If you don't have engage rings, you're at a massive disadvantage. If you don't summon on these banners specifically, you're doing your account a very massive disservice. And it's just, I don't like that. I don't enjoy that. Plus, I mean, engage rings just, they break the balance of the game, in my opinion. I believe that Faye was never meant to be, it was never meant to be going on for as long as it has. I thought this game would end around 2022, like over the years. As I've played this game, I'm like, how is this game still alive? And that's because people love Fire Emblem, and this is Nintendo's cash cow. But I'd like to thank you guys for watching and hearing me yap about my thoughts on this game. I'm sorry if I went on too long or I didn't hit enough points as I said I would. But this game's very extensive, and I mean, if you want to know more about something, or maybe I'm wrong about something, let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear opinions. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, follow me on my socials and all that jazz. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.